Hello, you're welcome to The Insight. I am Babla Jonathan. The Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Cameroon confirms the death of Boye-based CMTV journalist Samuel Ajika Abuwe, popularly known as Samuel Wazizi, but denies allegations he had been tortured to death. The Defense Ministry's statement said Samuel Wazizi died on August 17, 2019, following his arrival in Yaoundé in a sick condition, and that he died of sepsis shortly after he was placed under medical attention. Let me stop here a little bit to explain what is sepsis. Sepsis is the result of a massive immune response to bacterial infection that gets into the blood, leading to organ failure or injury. It is a medical emergency that becomes fatal or life-changing for many of the individuals or those who develop the blood poisoning. According to the Ministry of Defense of Cameroon, Samuel Wazizi was arrested in Équinoxe in the Muyuka subdivision, southwest region of Cameroon, August 3, 2019. And after investigations, the army said while he was claiming to be a journalist, he was associating and working with terrorists, referring to separatists as a logistician. The Defense Ministry said that when Samuel Wazizi died, the family members were contacted, but they abandoned the corpse in the mortuary. We're going to be digging deep into the truth as far as the death of journalist Samuel Wazizi is concerned in this edition of The Inside. Meet our first guest in some few seconds. The death of journalist Samuel Wazizi has sparked widespread condemnation from within and without. Journalists, civil society and political leaders, national and international human rights and non-governmental organizations have been condemning what happened to Samuel Wazizi. And according to the president of the National Trade Union of Journalists of Cameroon, all what the Ministry of Defense said concerning this case are lies. Other sources have also dismissed all the information, not all the information, most of the information presented to the public by the Communication Department of the Ministry of Defense. And our first guest in this edition of The Insight is one of the lawyers in that case, Barrister Edward Lionga Ewule. He is a member of the Cameroon and Nigerian Bar Associations. Barrister, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Babila. It's a pleasure to be in the house today.
First of all, your reaction to this sad incident, the death of journalist Samuel Wazizi, who was your client.
Yes, when the news was first of all announced over your station, Equinoxe, on Tuesday at the 8 p.m. news, I did not really believe, because I saw Wazizi during police detention. He was looking very strong and healthy, and I did not believe the news, because as lawyers we don't base our session on rumors, radio announcements and gossips. We base our assertion on facts, because on Tuesday there was no official statement from either from the Defense Ministry as it came, or from the government spokesman. So I decided not to believe in totality, but I was a little bit skeptical, and I was like trying to look into what the news was, because it was over 300 days and it was over 10 months that we have not seen or heard about our client, Samuel Aboyi Ajeka. So when the news was finally came out from the Ministry of Defense, it started dawning on me that really Samuel Ajeka is no more. And I felt very devastated. I felt very disappointed. And I felt like a young man who has gone to school for 7 years and have failed the final exam. And I felt like I was going to start all over again, because I and my learned friend, Barrister Kia Emmanuel, we have worked tirelessly to see that Wazizi get justice. We have filed series of applications to see that Wazizi get justice. And what we got is disregard for the whole judicial system. What we got is that we were like some boys who were just how do you put it, like I'm as if we were just getting into things that didn't matter. But now Wazizi is confirmed dead. You can see how there have been wide range condemnation following his death. So I feel very devastated.
And the statement of the Ministry of Defense confirming the death of Samuel Wazizi came on the heels of the revelation made by Equinoxe Television. And let's go back to the genesis of the case. Barrister, you were at the beginning of the whole thing. Where and when was Samuel Wazizi arrested? By who?
On the 4th, that is Sunday, 4th of August, I received a call from Samuel Wazizi. Samuel Wazizi was a friend. I knew Samuel Wazizi a long time ago. So when he has his Pigeon TV programs, he always invite me. His TV was at Malingo, and I was a lawyer and I was living around that area. So most of the time, Wazizi would invite me and I'll go for his TV program. So he was a friend. So he called me on Sunday that he has been arrested and he's at the level of a Munya police station. He was arrested on Friday, and that on that Sunday, right up that Sunday, no statement has been taken from him. The message that
was Sunday, August
4th, because 2nd was on Friday. That's when he was called up, because I want to give you the genesis. So he called me that he's under police detention on Sunday. So on Monday, it was a ghost town. This was at the heat of the Anglophone crisis, and we know that Munya is now that is a little bit calm. Munya used to be a very, very
rough area.
So on Monday, I could not go to Munya. I know the Munya police station, you know, just they used to have a lot of things at Bomaka, right up to that area. So on Monday, I did not go. So on that Monday, some bloggers like Mimi Mefo published it on their page, and they were casting doubt that they have arrested him. So I wrote that Wazizi, if you go there, you see, I wrote that Wazizi have called me, and that I am going there on Tuesday morning to get what is happening. That we should not make a mountain on an anthill. That was what I said under Mimi Mefo's post, because people were like, oh, they have arrested a journalist and they want to. So I was calming them down like a lawyer. I said, let me go there. Let me try to know why he has been arrested, and let me see if I can get him on bail. So on the 6th that was on Tuesday, on Monday was 5th, I could not go. On Tuesday the 6th at 9 a.m. I took a taxi and I went to Munya police station. As I went there, I went directly to the cell to see him. When I went there, they told me they cannot remove Wazizi. I said, I'm his lawyer. They should remove Wazizi. Let me see him. Let me talk to him. They said, no, Med, we cannot do that. If you want to talk to him through the window. And I went to Wazizi. I said, what happened? He said, my brother, I don't know. I was called up by the commissioner of Munya. He called me over the phone on that Friday. I came.
Friday, August 2nd.
August 2nd. He did not even know me. He did not know me. So he opened his phone and showed me a picture. And that picture was Wazizi's picture in the Moliko Stadium during the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. And he showed me that, are you the one? Wazizi said, yes, I am the one. He said, okay, there is some complaint, allegation about you on issues touching on the 2014 terrorism law. So I said, okay, so have they taken your statement? He said, up till now, no statement has been taken from me. So I went directly and met the commissioner, and I told the commissioner that his name is Commissioner Zemsin. He's still the commissioner of Munya. I told him that my client in there is denying all allegations from the complaint, and no statement has been taken from him. And it's over 4 to 5 days since you are detaining him. I don't know whether you have extended his detention per the criminal procedure code. Have you seen the state council? He said, no, Med, oh, calm down. I said, okay. He said, okay, Med, you have come, and I'm going to give Wazizi to an investigator. And Metuge Collins was handed as an investigator of Wazizi. And that was when by 11 a.m. Wazizi's statement was being recorded. I was there, and I countersigned the police sheet. And if you look at that police sheet, Wazizi denied all allegations. And some of the allegation was that in Wazizi's farm, they have some Amber fighters have made their camps there. So Wazizi was saying that, I don't know. Because of the crisis, I hardly go to the farm. I am a journalist. And Wazizi was saying that his arrest is based on his critical views that he has been airing during his pidgin news. If you watch most of his pidgin news, it is satirical. And most of the times, you know, in English, the English is polished. But in pidgin, most of the time, you say it as it is. That is what was happening. And so maybe he stepped on some toes. Apart
from the allegation concerning his farm being used by separatists as a camp, which he denied, what are the other allegations?
The other allegation was that by then, they had taken his phone. When he came there, they took his phone, and they said they saw messages that like he's communicating. But like a journalist, you understand? They say, I said, no. Even everybody's phone, you go to WhatsApp, there are messages that are being sent, you have groups. So I was saying that cannot stand. So at that point, I challenged the investigator by saying that per the 2014 terrorism law, it is either the judicial police carry out the investigation or the gendarmerie, the legion. You are here, you cannot be carrying out investigation and you are saying that it is based on terrorism. And the commissioner Zemsi assured me that, barrister, what you are saying, you are correct. I am going to transfer Wazizi to the judicial police. So on the next morning, I went there again. At that on that day, Wazizi wrote the number of one of the sister who is working around there, and we are trying to protect the source because of the circumstances surrounding the death of Wazizi.
From what you said, Wazizi was called up to the Munya Police District on the 2nd of August 2019, and he was detained. When he arrived there, he was detained. And this is in sharp contrast to what the Ministry of Defense is saying, because the Ministry of Defense is saying that he was arrested on the 3rd and not in Boya, but in Ekona, in the Moyuka subdivision, during a military operation. All right. Now, concerning the allegations, his farm being used by separatists and communication with separatists, at that time, the issue of him being a logistician or assisting separatists in organizing their logistics was not yet on the table, was not yet in the game.
Even the so-called allegation that was levied at level of police, any person can go to the police now and say Babila Jonathan is a thief. It is for the prosecution per the criminal procedure code to prove their case in court beyond reasonable doubt. I told the investigator, Metuge is there. I told Metuge, you are saying that there are people here, somebody have come and laid a complaint. Can I see the person? He said, no, they are protecting the person. That's what they told me. I said, okay, when you are carrying out investigation, there is something known as confrontation. Confrontation means that I have made a complaint against you, Babila. I have made a complaint. You have come, you have denied the allegation that I have laid against you. You understand? The police do what is confrontation. They put me here, they put you, Babila, there. And I'm looking at you and you are saying that, Barrister Ewule, you are the person who have links with separatists because I saw you. You understand? I asked the commission, I asked the investigator. He said, they are keeping the source, they'll bring it in court. I said, no. Somebody cannot lay allegation against me and I am the lawyer. Where is the person? Where is even the document that the person has brought? The commissioner, the investigator said, I will see the person. And I did not see the person.
Samuel Wazizi, from what you're saying, was arrested and detained by the police and not the military. So how did he move? When and how did he move from the Muya Police District to the Motorized Infantry Battalion, the BIM?
Okay. On the 7th, the next day, that's Wednesday, I went to the Muya Police Station to ask. I thought that I could get bail because Commissioner Zemsi is like a father. I knew Commissioner Zemsi since when he was at the Judicial Police. He was one of the assistant commissioner of the Judicial Police, and we had worked together. He's like a father. If I go to him, I say, Pa, this is my client, or I want bail. And if he sees it, he will grant bail. So I knew that Commissioner Zemsi, like a father, he might grant bail. So when I went that day, he said on that Tuesday, he had assured me that he could see what to do. Maybe to grant bail to Wazizi or so. That he's still looking at the file. That Wazizi's statement has not even been taken. That will let the statement be taken and then he will see what to do. So when I went there on Wednesday, I heard that some of his colleagues, Derek Jato and the rest, they had earlier on visited Wazizi, and the commissioner was not happy with the way the journalists they conducted themselves, you know. So when I went there on Wednesday, the commissioner said he could have been thinking to maybe release Wazizi on bail, but considering the fact that his name is on all social media, his name is on Equinoxe television, that he has detained a journalist, now it is more than his competence because the authorities have heard about it. That is more than his competence. So he said, as I came and objected on the investigation of Wazizi in Munya, he was going to transfer Wazizi to the Judicial Police. That's what he told me. So I went to the Judicial Police to wait for Wazizi. I went to the Judicial Police and I met the Commissioner of Judicial Police, who said he also is still waiting for Wazizi. I went there to start. I was negotiating for Wazizi's bail even before Wazizi could come. But I tell the Commissioner of Police that Wazizi had refused all the allegations levied against him. And so, if it's possible, when Wazizi is brought there, let him use his discretionary power to grant him bail. because there is no concrete evidence. So the chief of judicial police, Zobam, said, Wazizi is not even before me. They are still to transfer him. I'm waiting for him. When he comes, then we could look at the file. So I waited there. I was sitting in his office. I waited there like for 2 hours. Wazizi was not coming. Munya to Boyatown, its highest is 10 minutes or 15 minutes at most. So I said, no, something is wrong. So I now called the investigator, who said, oh, Barrister, I had to call you, but note that your client, Wazizi, has instruction came from high quarters that he should be sent, he should be handed to the military. So your clients have been handed to the BIM. And so if you want to see that, to find justice for your client, he is no longer in our custody. That's what the investigator told me on phone. And when he was telling me, it was fortunately for me, journalists also heard that though, because I informed the journalists that his colleagues that they were going to transfer him to the judicial police. So his colleagues were there, like Derek Jato, Mula Moki, and all of them. They were with me there when I was receiving that call. So when he told me that they have transferred him to BIM, immediately I and his colleagues, Derek Jato, Mula Moki, and all his other colleagues were there, Mwapol, and all the other colleagues, even from CRTV.
You moved to BIM? We
moved to BIM. And when we reached BIM, we reached there. I, like the lawyer, they stood behind. I went in front and I met the president. I said, I want to see the commandant of BIM because my client, a journalist, has been transferred here. And I told him that BIM does not have the capacity to carry out. So I want to see the boss of this place. There, the person said, okay, he should take us to the commander. We moved like 2 meters and we met now another military officer. They moved away from us and discussed and told us that lawyers and journalists are not allowed in the military facility. So we were chased out of the place.
Did the investigator tell you why and who gave the instruction that he should be transferred to the military?
He just told me that instructions have come from high quarters that Wazizi should be transferred to the military camp. So at that juncture, my colleague was, Barisankia, was out of town. He was in Yaoundé. So I called him immediately, because he was head of chambers then, we were together in the same chambers. I called him that this is what has happened. He said, okay, he will be coming back on Thursday or Friday. Let me tell him what is happening. So I went with Derek Jato, went back to see the chief of judicial police. And I cried out to him that said, the military under our law don't have the right to carry out criminal investigation. Why would they transfer my client to BIM? And Derek Jato, all of them, we were in the office of the chief of judicial police, Zobam. He told us that please, you people should calm down. Barrister, please calm down. Because of the Anglophone crisis. Because of the Anglophone crisis, the military now, they assist us. Sometimes they can take some suspect that they know that those suspects have a lot of information to exploit them. And after the exploitation, they will hand them back to us. He told us of other cases.
For how long did the ping pong between the Munya police, the judicial police, and the BIM last?
It was like the whole day. From that 2 p.m. we were there right up to 6 p.m. So the next day, I and the journalists, we still went because the chief of judicial police assured us that maybe the next day, after the exploitation, they will send him back to them because they are the ones who have the competence to carry on investigation. That maybe they just want to get some statement. They just want to get information that will help them to know where separatists are found, where their camps are. And he said, since there are already information that some separatists are around his farmland, so it will be better that the military get those information. So I said, we were very worried anyway. So the next day, I and the journalists, they mobilized again and came and met me, and we went there. By then, Zankia was still out of town. So when we went there,
to the BIM?
No, we went to the judicial police that morning to meet the chief of judicial police to ask whether he like the chief of judicial police can call the BIM to tell them that what you people are doing, you people are in contravention of the law. You people don't have the right to keep the suspect there. And he told us that we should exercise patience, that everything is under control, that he cannot control the military, but he will see what to do. I immediately left the journalist there and I went to the office of the divisional officer. It was a systematic work. The former divisional officer, his name is Kwam Wokam Paul, and I complained to him that a journalist has been arrested. How can he help us? He told me that there is separation of power, that he is of the executive, that he cannot interfere into the judicial process. And I asked him that, Mr. Dio, even you cannot interfere in judicial process, you represent the head of state here, and it is not the judiciary that is handling now, it is in the hands of the military. He told me he will see what to do. Derek Jato, we went to the office of the commandant BIM. Fortunately, we met him.
What did he say?
But he was rushing for a meeting. So he told us to see another officer and not his assistant. We explained to him what has been happening with my client and Derek Jato's colleague. The officer told us he received us very well. He took down my name, took down my number, took down Derek Jato's name, took down the name of Wazizi, full names, told us we should give him some time, he will get back to us.
Did he?
He never got back to me. The whole process, they have violated the criminal procedure code, and the only option we have now is to file for illegal detention. So on the 13th of August, we filed a habeas corpus application at the High Court of Fako.
Less than 4 days before his death, according to the information that we have.
And the habeas corpus in Fako, on the 17th of that very August, I think it was 12th of September. Imagine that he had already died. The High Court of Fako gave an order that Wazizi should be produced. The order was sent to, because the people we dragged to court for illegal detention was, first of all, the Procureur General, who is the pinnacle of justice in the region. He is the pinnacle, he is the highest law enforcement officer in the region. And we also brought in the commandant of the 21st Infantry Battalion, that's the BIM, because that was where he was kept. I was the one who sworn to the affidavit because I saw what happened. So the matter was in court. We filed the habeas corpus, and the habeas corpus was dragged up till November. The State Council, representing the Procureur General and the Commandant BIM, came up. All this process like this, the State Council came and filed an objection that I was not supposed, under section, the suggestion came under section 584 of the CPC, which says that in habeas corpus, it is either the person detained or another person filing on his behalf. So in the application, I Barrister Edo Longa, I was the first applicant, and then Wazizi was the second applicant. It does not, if you look at the process, there was no miscarriage of justice.
We will come back to that in the later part of the program with our second guest, in which we're going to explain the technicalities involved in that. But you said something remarkable. You said the Fako High Court ordered that Wazizi should be produced.
Yeah.
when he was already dead.
On the 23rd of August.
On the 23rd
of August, yes.
That's about 6 days after his death.
The Fako High Court ordered that Commandant Bim and the Procureur General should produce Wazizi. But do you know something, Mr. Babila?
Did they not have the information? We attempted to ask this question, even though you may not be the right person to answer this question.
But the fact is, Commandant the Bim could have even come to court, because from the communique we are getting from the Ministry of Defense, Wazizi was transferred from the Bim to Yaoundé. Nobody is above the law. We are in a state of law. How can you imagine that an order of the High Court will be sent to a Cameroonian on issues of violation of human rights, and those people flout the orders of the court? The Commandant Bim, the Procureur General, none of them appeared before the court. None of them even came and explained to the court that, gentlemen, Wazizi is no longer here. Wazizi is no longer in our custody. Or even explain to the court that Wazizi's detention was lawful. Because we were saying that taking Wazizi to Bim was unlawful. They could have come and explained to the court. But they treated the court with a lot of levity. They treated the court with a lot of levity, and they did not even come to court. They ignored everything. The state of Cameroon also ignored everything. Our habeas corpus was dismissed. We went now, tidied it. All the things that they said we did wrong in the first habeas corpus, went and tidied it. I came and filed on behalf of Wazizi. We did not include the Procureur General. You understand? We tidied it.
Before you go, Barrister, we knew Samuel Wazizi. You said he was a friend. Sometimes you were taking part in his programs on CMTV. Did you at any time have any information concerning his links with separatists, whether he was assisting them in organizing their logistics and so on?
I never had any information. And when Wazizi came, he was arrested. It's just as if I tried to follow up, if my memory does not fail me, and we did not also add that in the affidavit. I'm sure that the commissioner of Munya ordered that Wazizi's house should be searched. And to be honest, nothing was found in Wazizi's house, if my memory does not fail me, because I followed up the investigation at the level of the Munya police. I'm sure that on that Friday he was arrested, I think on Saturday or so, people were sent to his house. I can remember. People were sent, and nothing was seen. So, it is not for me to say whether he had links with separatists or not. It was for him to be brought before a law court, and evidence shown, and him convicted. The punishment for terrorism under 2014 law is death. He could have been convicted and sentenced to firing squad under the law. And
that never happened. Rather, he was tortured to death, according to the information that Equinoxe Television has as of now, despite the fact that the Ministry of Defense is rejecting the allegations on the fact that he was tortured to death, instead saying that he died of sepsis and so on. In some few seconds, meet our second guest. You're welcome back. Thanks for staying with us, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the second segment of this edition of The Inside, and we are receiving our second guest. Barrister Kia Emmanuel is the lead defense counsel in Samuel Wazizi's case. He's a member of the Cameroon Bar Association. Barrister, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Babila.
With Barrister Eule, we were talking about the first habeas corpus case that was rejected. And from what he said, the arguments advanced by the FACO High Court do not really stand and not good enough to justify the rejection of that habeas corpus case?
Yeah, you know, there is what you call in law technicalities. And the general principle, which is known all over the world, is that technicalities cannot stand in the cause of justice. Now, in this particular case, we had two important worries. First, because the FACO High Court had been in the practice and tradition of receiving and adjudicating on habeas corpus applications in the manner and form that we had filed. So there was precedence in the manner and form which we filed the first habeas corpus application. In fact, I'll give you a clear example, the case of FACO Lawyers Association, when they filed a habeas corpus application for some detainees. The names of the detainees were listed, and FACO Lawyers Association was a party.
And it wasn't rejected?
It wasn't rejected. So that is precedence from the same judge, the same court. So when we filed, in fact, our intention to use Barrister Ewule as a co-applicant in that application, that first application for habeas corpus, was because he was the eyewitness. That was the only person who had a direct account of what happened. The habeas corpus application requires that you file an affidavit evidence. Affidavit evidence means that it is evidence on oath, somebody who saw, somebody who heard what happened. And Barrister Ewule was actually in touch from the commissioner of police, who we were informed called Wazizi on phone, to the investigator, Metuge Collins, who carried out the investigation, and Barrister Ewule countersigned, as required by law, the cautionary statement of Wazizi, up to the point where he was moved to judicial, he was supposed to be moved to judicial police. Barrister Ewule had all those contacts, and then he ended up at the motorized infantry battalion. Barrister Ewule went there. So we thought that rather than just filing Wazizi, right, there is somebody to depose to those facts. So we, for strategic reason, we used Barrister Ewule as one of the co-applicants so he could depose to the evidence, and he did that.
But the court considered that as a violation of the law.
That is what we are saying, that it was even, the court acted inconsistent to its own previous decisions. And secondly, so we were worried by that. And secondly, the court argued that the office of the Procureur General, what we call in English Attorney General, had been wrongly cited as a co-respondent. And you will know, Mr. Babila, that in this country, the law office, the state law office, is the Procureur General's office. That is the highest state law office in this region. And if there is any issue, the law permits the state law office to intervene in any proceedings at any stage and to address the court. So we found it, you know, to be a little bit legally tidy, to formally invite the Procureur General to come and address the court, right, on the regularity or otherwise of the arrest and detention of Wazizi. That is why we listed them as a party. Because if you look at the facts that were deposed, nobody said that he had arrested anybody. But we had said that he's a nominal party to come and address us on the law. So it was dismissed. And when it was dismissed, we off record, we felt...
When the FACO court raised this point to dismiss the first habeas corpus application, what did they explain to back up their decision to dismiss it on grounds that you cited the Attorney General as a party?
Yeah, they simply said that the habeas corpus procedure, right, requires that it should be served only on people who are keeping or who are allegedly keeping the detainee. But that is a limited construction of the law. And that, so there were those two grounds, that the law says it is either the victim or somebody on his behalf. But we had used the victim and then somebody on his behalf as well. That we had used Barrister Ewule and we had listed the victim. So on those technical grounds, we said, okay, very well. But from the manner in which the court was conducting itself, I have sat on the High Court bench in more contentious issues than this. I was convinced that the court, there was some sense of interference.
Interference by the executive?
I would not say by the executive, but there was some sense of interference. And this feeling of interference, it could be from anywhere, not necessarily from the executive. It could be from the office of the Attorney General. It could be. Because subsequently, when I met with the Attorney General, he expressed heated bitterness on the fact that I had listed his office as a party. And I addressed him to say, Mr. Attorney General, it is not your person that was sued in court, it was the office. And in your office has the capacity to address any court in this region on points of law. Now, when you look at the attitude of the Attorney General and you look at the attitude of the court, you can marry it together, you can link it together. The hostile attitude of the Attorney General and the subsequent actions of the court, you can tidy that together and see that there was something that wasn't right somewhere.
Wasn't he worried that he could be considered as one of those detaining Samuel Wazizi?
I don't think that is a lawful excuse, because when you look at the facts in the affidavit, we had only identified the Attorney General as a person or the office that is responsible for the enforcement of all laws in this region. And since we were seizing the court to enforce certain provisions of the law, we were inviting him to come and articulate those issues, whether or not the arrest and detention of Wazizi was in accordance with the law. It's as simple as that. That's all what the Office of the Attorney General was required to come and do.
The first habeas corpus application was rejected. What did you do next?
Now, when it was rejected, we reconstituted a fresh habeas corpus application, which we filed on the 13th of November. That application actually, it would interest you to know that before the application was rejected, we had to file on the 23rd of August an application for accelerated hearing. That is for quick hearing of the matter, because the habeas corpus application ordinarily is supposed to be an expeditious process. But when we had filed on the 13th, we did not get any reaction from the courts.
The 13th to the 23rd.
The 23rd, that was 10 days. We filed, it's on record, we had to file an application for accelerated hearing. And we articulated the fact that this is an urgent application. It is on that 23rd that the court ordered that the Procureur General and the commander of BIM should produce Wazizi in court or give reasons why he's been detained. And obviously, you agree with me that in such circumstances, the law office, the state law office, should know whoever has been arrested or detained. The state law office should know. And it was only normal that we list them. Anyway, that was dismissed. Now, in the second application, we took hint from what the court was saying to say, well, we will not insist that what we are doing is correct. Let us go by what the court has said. We now use Barrister Ewule again. But we said this time that he was filing on behalf of Wazizi. We thought that since it was the police who had arrested Wazizi, it was important that we list them also as co-respondent. That is why we listed the regional chief of national security as one of the parties. And we listed the commandant of the 21st Motorized Infantry Battalion as the second respondent. And in this case, we were saying that this is an arresting unit and this is the unit that is keeping him. And when we filed again, this is the time that we witnessed the greatest, the biggest challenges that we have had on this file.
What are those challenges?
Yeah, we filed that on the 13th of no, 13th of November. We filed the initial one on the 13th of August. It was dismissed on the 5th of November. On that about a few days later, that is on the 13th of November, we reconstituted a fresh habeas corpus. When we filed on that 13th of November, my dear brother, nothing was coming out from the court. Nothing was filtering out from the court. We went there on several, if I give you my case docket, we went there on several occasions, adjourn. Then at some point, we were informed that the order has been issued for the regional delegate and for the commandant BIM to produce Wazizi. And that order has been forwarded to the legal department, the state law office, for their submissions.
And you didn't receive a copy?
We were not served. We tried. Ordinarily, you don't need to make an application to be served with a copy of the ruling, in your case. So we decided, we tried to get copies, but the clerks or the registrars were telling us that no, they have received instructions from the president that they should not give us copies. So we put it formally in writing. We made an application to the court in writing, which we filed at the registry of the court.
Which should normally not be the case.
It should normally not be the case. When we filed, we were asking for 3 prayers. We were asking the court first to give us a copy of that order, so that we will know what the court has made, what orders the court has made. We are the party, we are the applicants. And secondly, we had received communication from the American Bar Association through one of their collaborators that they were interested in observing the proceedings. We were notified. It was actually an application to the court. And we thought that it was a good thing for the proceedings to be observed by some entity that is independent. So we included that fact in our application, that the American Bar Association should be granted observer status in the court. And thirdly, we asked for accelerated hearing again. It was an ex parte application, meaning that this was an application in which the respondents did not need to be parties. We did not require them to be present.
How long did it take from the moment you filed the second habeas corpus appeal or application to when you started asking for the copy of the order and then an accelerated hearing?
The application for accelerated hearing was done in April. When we have filed the April 17th, that's when we filed the 2020. When the second habeas corpus had been filed in November
2019.
We now ask for accelerated hearing and to be served with a copy of this order on the 17th of April. Now, on the 7th, while we filed, we informed the state. You know, it is good practice. Sometimes, even if you have filed a process that is not required to be served to the other party, you can just inform them that, well, this is what I've done, it's good practice. We were not hiding anything. So we had informed the legal department informally that we had filed an application for accelerated hearing. On the day, that was the 7th of May, that we were moving the court on the habeas corpus application, State Counsel Kilo Emmanuel was in court. He came to the chambers of the judge, and the judge sent him away in a very rude way that demonstrated to us, you know, that strange attitude from the court demonstrated to us that there was something behind the attitude of the court. So he sent him away. And behold, that our application for service on us of the court order and for accelerated hearing and for the American Bar Association to observe the proceeding was dismissed. One of the principal reasons for which that thing was dismissed was that the State Counsel was not served to be in court. And we had observed that the State Counsel was there. You sent him away. In fact, the State Counsel even invited the court to allow him make observations, and the court sent him away. So when you put these two things together, you would see that the court was not, that is the court that we respect.
No, I want to get something very clear. The second habeas corpus appeal was filed in November, and to April, that was November 2019, until April 2020, there was no response. That's about 5 months.
Yes. On the 14th, and this is where these are the challenges that I'm expressing to you. On the 14th of May, when we got to court, I think there was a journalist who was allowed access to the chambers of the judge on that day, Chief Kemanyang. I think it said he was something of the Commonwealth Journalists Association.
President of the Commonwealth Journalists Association for Cameroon.
Yeah, I know him facially, but I didn't know those offices that he had until that day. It was the judge who introduced him to us. And he followed the proceedings. And so that you can confirm or deny this from that source. So at the beginning of the proceedings, I had asked the court, the judge, has the commandant of BIM been served? Has the regional delegate been served with the order to produce? And he turned and asked me, are you saying that if they have not been served, you will not move your motion? I said, well, we are ready to do the case. I was just trying to keep my records straight. So he said, okay, let's proceed. So I moved the court on the application. And the State Counsel, Emmanuel Kilo, who was present, in his reply, oral reply to us, made reference to some submissions that the legal department had filed the day before, the 10th of May, in which he was acknowledging that they had been served with the order to produce Wazizi. And I interjected, I objected to that line of that conduct. I told the court that the case could not be conducted as if it is shrouded in secrecy. If the legal department has filed something in reply to our submissions, it was just natural. You don't need a rule of law on that. It's a rule of natural justice. All the uttering pattern. You serve us.
And we were not.
We were not served. So I pointed out to the court that we will not proceed with the matter if we were not officially served with a copy of that response from the state. And we argued there for a while, and the court ordered that we should be served in the court. Halfway through the proceedings, we were served. And when I looked at it, it was raising issues. I like always to be on record. And I told the court that give me an adjournment. I will reply to this document within 2 days. That was, I think, a Thursday or Friday. I said, by Tuesday we'll file a reply. And then the matter was adjourned to the 28th of May. I filed within the required time. And on that 28th, we went, I adopted my submissions, and the state adopted, because I filed a reply. And it would interest you that the state, that's the state law office, was asking the court to hold that because we, the applicants, have not produced copies of the arrest warrant of Wazizi and the detention warrant of Wazizi, we have not provided sufficient evidence on which the court can address the case.
Were the warrants given to you by the Muya police?
That is a question which even a layman will answer in the negative. Normally, they are supposed to be the ones who would have issued the arrest warrant.
And they did not.
So if there was an arrest warrant, it should be in their possession. If there was a detention warrant, it should be in their possession. Now, that is a state law office. It means that they are the principal legal officers of the government. So that if there is anything for which the state of Cameroon needs legal representation, it is that office. So the state of Cameroon is their client in legal parlance, so to say. So that if there was any action, anything done or undone, it is that office that is most competent to know.
And all of these happening while the client, your client, was already dead.
Yeah, that is what we have learned. He died on the 17th. And it would interest you, Mr. Babila, to note that in our application for habeas corpus, the second one, to be more precise, we had asked, our prayers are 2 in number. bring Wazizi dead or alive, for the production of his body dead or alive, so that the court can examine the cause of his death or the cause of his detention to determine whether it is lawful or not. So if the state, the Ministry of Defense, is now issuing a communique to say that Wazizi had died on the 17th of August, before which time we had filed an application asking for his body to be produced, right?
And the application was dismissed?
The application was dismissed, right? We filed a second one. They are saying that we should rather bring back the proofs that Wazizi was arrested under the strength of an arrest warrant.
Is it possible for judicial proceedings to be going on for a dead man?
You see, in the case of a habeas...
Or the Faku Court was not, the Faku High Court was not aware that he was dead?
I don't want to think, I don't want to speculate. But I am bound to believe from the circumstances. And I said it, I think, on Tuesday, when you people confirmed the death of Wazizi. I suggested that there were two reasons why the state was doing these dilatories. When the first habeas corpus was dismissed, I said that it was dismissed to discourage us. We would not be discouraged. And on the second interview, I had noted that the reasons why the state is reluctant to produce Wazizi is either because Wazizi is dead, and they are embarrassed by that fact, or that he has been tortured to a point where they find it not possible to produce him for the public to see. Those were the two things that were crossing my mind. And I believe more, in the latter. And my brother, that the fact that he's dead, right, does not stop our process going on. Because one of the prayers is that his dead body should be produced in court.
So what do you intend to do next?
What we are going to court on Tuesday. The matter is adjourned to Tuesday for ruling. We are looking forward to seeing the ruling of the court. Maybe with this new development, which is now official statement from the state, we expect that the legal department will react differently. They have a right to apply to arrest the ruling of the court and to furnish the court with other evidence. It's all left to them. But otherwise, who will be in court? And whatever decision the court takes, we'll look at it, advise ourselves, and if it's necessary, we'll engage further action on this. But I want to make a quick clarification here. When you look at the report, the communique from the Ministry of Defense, it created the impression that we were acting on our own. It suggested that Wazizi's family was in contact. It suggested, wrongly though, that even when he was sick and he died, well, his family was in contact. But I was very impressed when your media house contacted his family yesterday. And of course, the answer was that they were never ever been contacted about Wazizi's health or his death. And also to make the point that we were briefed by Wazizi directly, not by his family. It is Wazizi who gave us instructions. And at the time Wazizi gave us instructions, Mr. Babila, he listed certain numbers to us as people we could contact in the case of any eventuality. We have later yesterday contacted one of those sources again. And that person has given us reasons to believe. That is what we can call fresh evidence, to believe that Wazizi was tortured to death.
We'll come back to that in greater details. First, Barrister, I want us to listen to the brother of Samuel Wazizi to confirm what you were just saying.
Government said they contact the family. They did not contact any family because I'm the junior one before my senior. The person next to Wazizi. They did not contact anybody of my family. Because if they have contacted anybody of my family, would have taken the cops earlier, since. But it's just now that we are just hearing that, because the matter was adjourned on the 28th to on the 9th. That's when they are saying that they have killed Samuel Wazizi. So we were surprised and shocked.
Barrister, you were talking about the cause of Wazizi's death. The ministry says that the defense ministry says he died of sepsis. And you were talking about another evidence that you have received from one of the people he asked you to contact in case of any eventuality. So what information did you receive from that source?
Yeah, that source told us that at some point she received a call which suggested to her that Wazizi had been beaten and sustained a broken waist. We are still protecting that source for now because we don't want interference. You know what they call witness interference. And by the nature of the way this thing has evolved, we are bound to believe that the information put to the public by the Minister of Defense is false. Our own evidence that we have appears to be more consistent with what Equinoxe is saying. It appears to be more consistent. And this fear that we have is pushing us to call for an independent inquiry, an independent autopsy into the cause of death of Wazizi. That is what we must do.
That is one of the demands expressed by the president, the national president of the Cameroon English-speaking Journalists Association, Jude Viban, who says, like you, that only an independent investigation can reveal the truth about the cause of the death of Samuel Wazizi. Barrister, thank you for talking to us. Thank you for talking to us in this edition of The Insight.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us in this edition of The Insight. Goodbye.